Stop. Button.
All right, this is finally where
Speech off.
the story starts to get interesting, everyone. I'm
Speech on.
glad
Stop.
for
Button.
everyone who's
Speech off.
been sticking with me. Excuse the voiceover and the fan in the background. It is cold in my room. We are on the second AET. AET. AETT. That's how they split the parts in FARSIGHTED. And we are on chapter 9. Everybody clap your hands. So under the second EA, it says, if you can look into the seeds of time and say which grain will grow and which will not speak. And it was spoken by Banquo in Shakespeare's Macbeth. Anyone who knows Macbeth and stuff, you tell me if it's Banquo, something, I don't know. Banquo. You tell me how to say that in the comments, and I will appreciate you forever. Thank you very much. Anyway, chapter 9. Suddenly, the traveler is thrust into a drastic new low. He feels he is being unfairly punished by the universe, but these events are necessary to move him along his path. You're earning the highest grade in the class. Keep up the good work. Dr. Brown licks his finger. By the way, how do you know he's licking his finger? You can't see him. Can you hear someone licking their finger? Blind people in the comments, let me know, anyone watching this who can't see. Can we just all remember that Alex has no sight? That's why, sometimes I get frustrated with this book. But anyway. Dr. Brown licks his finger, grabs the top paper in his stack, and presses it down onto the work table Simi, Shapri, and I share. Thank you very much, sir. You're a great teacher, Simi responds with a voice full of admiration. She's probably using her powers. Brown noser. A student at a nearby workstation sniggers. Simi does lay on the respect for elders thing a bit strong, but who cares? She and I are the only sophomores in the entire class, and we're doing better than everyone else on our chem labs. Having a partner like Shapri sure helps. She may be a bit flighty, but she's a mad genius. She's a mad genius, too. She seems to know almost as much about chemistry as Dr. Brown. That's my girl. I don't know, I like Shapri. More and more. She's kind of mean, but, Good work, team, Shapri says. I forgot the voice I did for Shapri. Let me know. Good work, team, Shapri says, bringing her head in close to ours so the other students can't overhear. I'm glad I got the two of you as my lab partners. The rest of these guys have no idea what they're doing. High five. Shapri slaps. Oh my gosh. Simi slaps Shapri's outstretched palm. I snap my fingers. This girl's kind of growing on me lately. How do you know so much anyway? I ask. I'm studying hard and I can't keep up with you. Dunno, Shapri says with a shrug. It just makes sense to me. I like how in science some things work and some things don't. The rules never bend or change. If you mix 2 parts hydrogen and 1 part oxygen, you'll always get water. Always. She sighs. I wish everything in life was like that. But Shapri, Simi whispers, the unpredictable parts make life exciting. Maybe to you, but to me, those parts are the toughest to get through. The unpredictable parts led my mom to force us across the country. They made my parents stop talking to each other and made me scared for the future. Oh, and make me scared for the future. Simi squeezes my hand under the table, sending an exciting rush through my arm that spreads through my entire body in an instant. Your parents don't talk to each other? Strange. How long ago did they get divorced? Simi asks, pointedly. Oh, they're not divorced. Shapri shakes her head. They're still married. They live together. They live together even, but haven't talked for years. Sometimes they'll be sitting in the same room saying nothing. Dad stares at Mom for so long with so much sadness. Stares at Mom with so much sadness, like he wants nothing more in the whole world than for her to smile. But all she does is ignore him. I can't believe her sometimes. I'm sorry to hear that, Simi says, rubbing Shapri's arm. When did they stop speaking to each other? Shapri thinks for a few moments. The same day as Hurricane Katrina, actually. What was it like? Simi prompts. Well, Simi draws out the syllable before jumping into her tale. Dad was in the 9th district. That spot got hit the worst. I'm sure you've heard. He worked over there, running a homeless shelter. Mom and I were at home. We'd locked ourselves in the bathroom and huddled together in the tub until the storm passed. Our area had a lot of downed trees and power lines and stuff, but it wasn't hit too badly. At almost the exact moment that the hurricane ended, Dad came home. He'd driven through the storm to come and be with us and to make sure we were okay. But the moment he arrived, something had changed. Mom wouldn't talk to him at all. I was never able to figure out what happened during the hurricane that changed everything. Ugh, horrible memories. Okay for us to talk about something else now? Sure. Sorry, I didn't mean to pry. I would love to meet your father one day. He sounds like a great man, Simi says before changing the topic. Oh, Dr. Brown took a point off of our lab report because we spelled analyze wrong. I wrote ANALYSE, which is the proper spelling in European English. Which is the proper European English spelling. I don't think that's fair. You're right, Shapri huffs, inexplicably empowered by her depressing yarn. She grabs the paper out of Simi's hand and jumps to her feet, nearly toppling her stool. I'm going to talk to him. He's being culturally biased. I demand to be compensated for that point. She marches toward the front of the class, her shoes clacking on the floor. Too easy, Simi whispers to me. A few more talks like this, and Shapri will be accepting her powders in no time. I hope you're right, I say. Somehow, I don't think this is going to be as easy as Simi does. A scratching sound comes from the corner of the class, distracting my thoughts. Where do you think you're going? A man's voice asks from somewhere behind me. It drips, out an unsettling accent. It drips of an unsettling accent, one that sounds like Dad's, but hasn't bleh, but not exactly. Ah, a vision. I can be sure of it, because Dr. Brown would never put up with such noise in his classroom. I don't belong to you. I don't belong to anyone. You can't keep me here, Dax says in an ominous tone. Wait, hold on, let me try again. I don't belong to you. I don't belong to anyone. You can't keep me here, Dax says in an ominous tone. A different combination of chemical smells hangs in the air, replacing the familiar hodgepodge of the chemistry lab. Odors. I recognize the hospital where Dax is, or will be institutionalized. Fairfax. The man presses down on a button with a click. Call security. I don't think so, Dax hisses. Something flies right through me and hits the man with a painful-sounding thud. I must knock him unconscious, because he doesn't say anything more. I've been here long enough. It's time to go home, Dax says to the lifeless attendant. Tell you what, I'll bring you a t-shirt. He laughs and then escapes into the night of his reality and of mine. The vision is gone. After school, I head toward Miss Teake's shop by myself. Neither Mom or Dad can pick me up today, so I agreed to walk over on my own. Simmy will meet me there after some club meeting. The chilly air makes ambling over at my normal pace a non-option. As I hurry, my cane disturbs the pebbles and little bits of trash and paper on the ground, sending them flying down the steps into the street into a clatter. Okay, there we go. Despite the obstacles blocking my path, I arrive at the strip mall in a record time, just over 4 minutes. I'm a little bit out of breath. I push the door to Miss Teake's open. Even above the noise of my panting, I hear Miss Teague call out in surprise, and my father clear his throat. A button snaps and is followed by an odd rustling sound. Dad and Miss Teague both come out into the front room. Alex, Dad says, clearing his throat again. You're a bit early today, huh? What? Did I catch you doing something you weren't supposed to be? I ask, removing my glasses and staring at him. I hope my face is the perfect expression of hostility and disappointment. Sure seems I walked in on a private moment between Dad and Miss Teague. Earlier, I would never be able to picture him hurting Mom like this. But lately, I don't know what he's capable of. No, Dad says, drawing out the word. No, Dad says, drawing out the word and sounding very guilty to me. Why would you think that? We were filing some tax forms and organizing some of Oletta's fortune-telling devices. They're called scryers, Miss Teague corrects. Ah, still so much more to learn. When I think I know it all, something new comes along. Well, I better get home. I better get going. See you, Alex. Before I can say anything else, Dad is gone. Miss Teague comes over to me and lays her hands on my shoulders. It's not what you think. she says, having picked up on my interpretation of the event. It's not, she repeats, before letting her arms fall to her side. I know you're lonely and all, since your husband's death. I spit at her. But my mom doesn't deserve this. Anyway, my dad's not even close to worth it. It's not what you think, Mystique repeats. Not what I think? Not what I think? I snap at her. How can my dad go from hating you to working with you to sneaking around with you unless... I scream the first part, then let my voice trail off in the second. I can't bring myself to voice the accusation aloud, no matter how true it is. Mystique takes a deep breath, shaky breath, but says nothing. You can't even tell me I'm wrong? I'm out of here. I slam the door behind me, and am surprised when Mystique doesn't follow. This gesture cements my suspicion. Something very wrong is going on between her and Dad. My mind scrambles, trying to figure out the next step. If I go back to Sweet Blossoms, Mom will realize something is amiss. So I decide to walk back toward the school and wait for Simmy's meeting to finish. If I run into Dad along the way, I'm going to punch that. If I run into Dad along the way, I'm going to punch that scumbag in the face. I push the door open with both of my hands. It swings wildly in the wind. Oh, dearie me, a high-pitched voice exclaims. Sorry, I mutter as I squeeze past the stranger, who is steeped in heavy perfume. Cosmetaurus? Brady calls from a few paces back. His voice lacks any hostility, even though I know he feels it in heaps. He must be putting on a show for the lady. His mother, I realize, recalling the scene at the principal's office earlier this year. What are you doing here? He enunciates. Leaving, I spit. Powered by rage, I make it back to school in just 3.5 minutes. I wait outside the gymnasium until Simmy emerges, announced by her wonderful scent. I suck in a breath of almond joy and relax. I suck in a breath of almond joy and relax a hair. She seems surprised to see me. What club was that anyway? I ask. She hesitates. Drama. Drama. I want to get the role of Penny Pingleton in this year's production of Hairspray. Okay, well, good luck, I say, having never heard of that play. Oh my gosh, Alex, and not being all that interested in it anyway. Simmy shuffles her feet. What's up? Why aren't you at Mystique's? I'm not going there anymore. I don't feel like I can trust her. Why is that? I'd rather not say, if that's okay, I answered, chewing on my lip. Okay, but how will you train? You mentioned you were ahead of me in lessons. Can you help me? Alex, I don't think I'm qualified. Please? Pretty please, I beg, trying to look super cute. Well, I can try. Come on, let's find an empty classroom, I say, tugging Simi down the hallway. The chemistry lab is open, so we settle in there. Okay, teacher, what do we do? I ask, drumming my hands on the table. I'm not exactly sure. I've never had to train anyone before, and our gifts are different. How did you learn? In some ways, I've kind of always known. See, Mummy has powers too. She can communicate with animals. I grew up watching... Wait, your mom has powers too? Yeah, psychic powers are often hereditary. But that's not always the case. Like with you. If your parents had powers, you'd know. They're not easy to hide. I think you know that from experience. Heat rushes to my face. Right, sorry. Go ahead with your story. Well, I grew up watching Mummy and trying to be like her. When I was 8 or 9 years old, my gifts emerged. My parents were really impressed because usually powers don't surface until puberty, sometimes even later. I was an early bloomer, which they thought meant I would be especially strong. Ever since, they've had me training with various sidekicks around Delhi. When we moved here, Mystique was the only choice, so I began to train with her. The thing is, training hasn't really helped my powers, and I'm not getting any stronger. We can't figure out why, so... I just keep practicing and hoping things will change. So you know a lot, then. I hope she doesn't question my newfound eagerness to learn. Yes, I suppose. Teach me. Where should I start? Simi asks herself. While she's thinking, I take a rune out of my pocket and begin turning it over in my palm. A nervous habit. Oh, I have an idea for where we can start, Simi exclaims. Give me that. I hand over the rune that's shaped like an H. What does it mean? I don't know. I've never studied the runes, but I have an idea about how they can help. Are the rest here with you? Sure. I unzip my backpack and take out the Ziploc baggie full of runes. My hand also brushes over my Dax notes while I'm in there. I always keep this stuff close, so my parents don't find it by accident. Thanks, Simi says, as I slide the baggie across the work table to her. So, if I were the one practicing, I'd probably try to make the runes feel like cotton or something like that. Since it's you, we'll try to get you to see them. I sigh, but Simi is undeterred. This new brainchild excites her too much. She unzips the plastic bag and takes one out. Which rune is in my hand? She asks, matter-of-factly. Beats me. Hand it over and I'll tell you. I respond while leaning forward across the table to grope at the object. No, Simi says, pulling her hand out of reach. Not like this. How am I supposed to tell you what it is unless you let me feel? I ask, trying not to show Simi I think her training method is a waste of time. I don't know how your gifts work, but just use it. And tell me which one. I jut my lower lip forward and exhale, blowing my hair upward. I stall, letting the names of the rune flash through my mind. The one that looks kind of like a flagpole or the little P? I guess. Nope, that's not it, Simi says, placing the rune to the side and extracting another from the bag. Which do I have now? I sigh, but keep going. The one that looks like an F? No. Simi puts this rune next to the other one I incorrectly identified. She extracts a third from the bag. What about this one? I crack my knuckles. The X? Good job. That's right. She keeps going without the slightest pause, placing the rune on the other side of the table and starting a new rune. A new pile, and takes a fourth from the bag. Which is this? We continue on in this way until we've gone over all 24 runes. You got 4 right. Think you can do better this time? Simi uses her hand to sweep both piles back into the bag, shakes them up and begins again. I begin. Wait, she interrupts me. That first time was the baseline. Now I'll give you some ideas and see if you can do better using my advice. Your first hint, use your sense of touch to find the answer. I reach forward like I did when we first began, but Simi pulls away. Not your physical sense of touch. Use your psychic one. Like you do? I ask. Yes, like me. What makes you think I can do that? I have second sight. Not clairsentience, remember? Let me ask you this. How do you experience your vision? Do you see them? I mean, with your eyes. No, I see the same way I see everything else. With your other sense, right? Not vision. So you actually have a psychic sense of touch, if you think about it like that. Just use yours to see the future. You just use yours to see the future. Or the remote present, rather than to manipulate people and objects. I guess that makes sense. So how do I use it to figure out which rune you have? Enter a psychic trance, and then, when all the other clutter is out of your brain, focus on solving this problem, she instructs. Embarrassed, I admit, I don't know how to enter a psychic trance. Right. I keep forgetting you're new to all of this. Don't worry, it's not hard to do. Just relax your eyes, or whichever senses you use to see things. Relax your mind and let your gifts take over. When you're in a trance, you have the power over your gifts, rather the other way around. Now, try. I relax my senses, but my mind doesn't cooperate. I'm too busy thinking about this trance stuff. If I get good at it, I can control my visions and avoid being embarrassed by them. Even more importantly, I'll be able to seek out Dax rather than waiting for him to come to me. That's what I need to do in order to save Simi. Tell me, which one's in my hand? Simi says. The eye? A complete guess. No, Simi groans. Her patience is wearing thin. Did you use your clairsentience? I swallow and try harder. I want to do a good job for Simi. This time it works. I ease into a trance, turning off all of my senses but one, which like I did in English class when first trying to figure out the runes. I reach my hand toward Simi without actually attempting to touch her. My fingertips hover inches from her outstretched palm. I imagine them disconnecting and continuing to travel forward until they can touch the rune. A deep line is etched down the side. Two shallower lines at the top connect to form a P. P, I say, recognizing the shape instantly. You're right, Simi says with excitement, placing the rune aside and grabbing another. And this one? I focus hard, entering a trance, and attempt to disconnect my fingers again. This time it doesn't work. I try over and over again, but can't figure out which stone she has. Finally, in exhaustion, I decide to just take a guess. R, I say. Nope, Simi answers. She sounds really disappointed in me. Crud. I can't do this anymore, I say with a yawn. Too exhausting. Come on, Alex. How do you expect to get any better if you don't at least practice? Finish off this set for me, okay? I reluctantly agree, and we finish our round. Sometimes I'm able to do the trick with my fingers, and sometimes I'm not. When we're finished, Simi announces I've gotten 6 out of 24 correct. She says this is very good progress, but it sure doesn't seem that way to me. I tried really, really hard and finally managed a 25%. And barely manage a 25% success rate. Come on, Paige, turn. Thank you very much. My foot. Okay. We sit and chat about other things for a while, and then Simi's mom comes to pick her up from the school. She offers me a ride to Sweet Blossoms, which I eagerly accept. I'm just too tired to make it back there on foot. Hey, Mom, I say, jingling into the shop. I'm plopping down on my window bench. Nobody answers. Mom? I call a bit louder. Still, no answer. Uncertain, I pull my body up into a standing position and make my way around the shop searching for Mom. After checking almost everywhere else, I finally I find her inside the walk-in cooler, where she keeps all the fresh-cut flowers. She's crying, almost soundlessly. From the height of noise, she's crouched on the floor. Mom? I say, bending down and wrapping my arms around her. I'm not used to her being like this. She's the happiest, most upbeat person in the world. What's wrong? She wipes her eyes with her shirt sleeve and drops her head onto my chest, as if it's too heavy for her to support alone. It's your dad, she whispers between sobs.